Another interesting name here in this year's class, Kate. It is Trey Benson out of FSU. What were your thoughts on Mr. Trey Benson?
I really like Trey Benson. And I honestly wasn't necessarily expecting to like Trey Benson as much as it did. 21 years old, redshirted in his freshman year at Oregon, 2021, ended up transferring to Florida State in 2022 and had back-to-back seasons, working in that Seminoles offense. He's a big boy, just over 6 foot, 216 pounds, ran a 4.39 40-yard dash, which I think really helped that potential draft capital there at 92nd percentile for running backs. Solid, just all around player. Now, some things worth noting: suffered a major knee injury in the 2021 season at Oregon. So he does have that history there. And it was an ACL, MCL, a lateral and medial meniscus tears in his right knee. So a bit of a significant portion in his health history, but generally speaking, I mean, averaged 6.1 yards per attempt here in his course at FSU. Just a really solid, explosive, tough, and violent runner. And I think that that's sort of like hashtag my type when it comes to NFL running backs. I love to see that violent running style, which in some regards can be a huge positive. Obviously, when you're looking at yards after contact per attempt, ranked in the 63rd percentile this year. Missed forced tackles per attempt, 87th percentile this season among running backs. Almost just under a 30% missed forced tackle rate, but just a lot of burst to his game, and kind of has that ideal athletic profile I think that you're looking for at the running back position in terms of physicality and upside. Now, obviously, the other big concern for him is unlike Bucky Irving, Trey Benson doesn't have that same production profile to his name. 25% dominator rating, ranks in the 53rd percentile. That's average. Capable pass catcher, not like a stone cold pass catcher, but has youth, has size. I think there's a lot to like about Trey Benson in terms of just, being one of the more well-rounded prospects. I think he's, not the most solid or most experienced guy in terms of pass protection, but graded out 75.4 PFF pass blocking grade this season when asked to do so. That ranked 18th among running backs in this draft class. I think I'm kind of enamored with Trey Benson. Lots of splash play potential. I love the athlete. I like a lot of things about Trey Benson.
I think we're going to align here a little bit when we finally do our rankings, because I'm with you. I love Trey Benson. He comes in with some impressive rushing metrics coming out of college. Like I said, it's not amazing by any means, but really impressive nonetheless. And that includes, when I mentioned before, Bucky Irving being in that list with Bijan Robinson, Javonte Williams in missed tackles forced per attempt. He has the best mark among running backs with 300 carries, at least 300 carries since 2014 when PFF first started grading college. In missed tackles forced per attempt at 0.39. So he is number one on that list, and also ranked 90th percentile in rushing grade versus a stacked box, 86th percentile as far as his best single season rushing grade, which was a 91.4 in 2022. And he performed really well at the combine, a 4.39 40 time at an ideal 216 pounds for the NFL. There's still a lot to I think about Trey Benson. He's currently tracking just outside the top 100 according to the PFF mock draft simulator, but his testing numbers and overall production profile, I think, are comparable to backs going in that second to third round range. So I think he's gonna most likely go day 2. I have a feeling, and that's kind of where I'm hoping he goes. Didn't have really any significant downfalls in his key college data outside of that dominator rating, like you said. With surprisingly, like explosive run rate was one of the areas he was relatively lower compared to the rest of his data, where he only ranked in the 72nd percentile for that category, right? Which shouldn't even be highlighted as a weakness at this point, especially considering he ran that 4.3940 time. But there's a lot to like. Strong efficiency profile, excellent athletic profile, just 21 years old right now, ideal size, great strength running the ball, improved his stock as a potential receiving back as well, like you said, this past year, as far as an efficiency and yards per route run standpoint, as well as just getting more work in that regard compared to 2022. So he definitely has my attention as someone I could see myself falling in love with even more with day 2 capital and a nice landing spot. Probably one of the running backs I'm most excited about in this year's class. So I'm holding out hope there for a good draft.
Yeah, I think really the biggest kind of concern for me with Trey Benson just kind of comes from that, 2022 and 2023 season didn't really see a huge, growth in terms of role. It started a few more games, but didn't necessarily translate to much higher production. Overall less efficient season, did score more touchdowns. But I mean, year over year, generally speaking, I think you expect to see a little bit more overall growth. And his back-to-back seasons, 2022 and 2023, were like nearly identical outside of touchdown production. So I think that's really the question. Why didn't we see, more of that growth here? And why did we never see him take on more than 160 carries in a season? But generally speaking, if that's the biggest knock that I can come up with, like from a tape perspective, from an advanced metrics perspective, one of the more complete profiles I think that we're going to see in this running back class.